I had finally managed to get my big sister to let me take part in her sleepover. That was a pretty huge deal. At only 14, I thought that I was Queen Bee, and my sister thought that I was a nasty little hobgoblin. Normally, any attempt that I made to spend time with her was met with grudging disdain. Attempts to spend time with her while she had her friends over? That was just a flat-out rejection. Not only that, but it was the kind of rejection that came with a nasty look and a warning label. Don't try asking about that again. That's what her look seemed to say. But this time, when I asked, something was different. She had given in, though with the stipulation that if I couldn't keep up with their games, then I would need to leave. And let me come up to her room. Michelle and Janet were there too. I thought they were just being nice. The truth was, they just wanted to scare me. Once I'd come into the bedroom, they let me sit down on the edge of the mattress. My sister sat in one of her many beanbag chairs. Janet and Michelle were both standing. "We're going to play a game," said my sister Rhonda. "The kind of game only big girls play." I wanted to be a big girl. I decided to play the game, even if it was the slap game or something else equally unfun. That was the rules, after all. And there was no way that I was going to back out just because I didn't actually want to play one of their games. I could suck it up and do whatever they wanted. I was a big girl too, after all. Queen bee and top dog. "We're going to play..." Rhonda paused for dramatic effect. She glanced at Janet first, then at Michelle. A strange smile crossed her face. "Candyman." I frowned, trying to figure out where I might have played that game. They must have been telling the truth about it being a big girl game, because it didn't sound like anything that I had done with my own friends. "I don't know that game." "It's not just a game, it's magic. They say that years ago, the Candyman was real," Rhonda explained. She gave me a look as though irritated that I didn't already know that. That he was a man named Daniel Robitaille. She told me his story. How he was a slave that fell in love with the daughter of a plantation owner, and how the daughter loved him too. But when this romance was discovered, the Candyman was chased out of the farm and into the forest. He was hunted down and caught. They would not let him get away, even though he hadn't actually done anything wrong. "They cut off his hand," said Rhonda. She lets her own left hand go limp at the wrist when she says that, as though someone had come along and cut off her own hand. Nodding quickly, Michelle added, "And they replaced it with a hook." Janet finished. "After that, they covered him in honey and threw him in a beehive. He was stung so many times that it killed him." "What's that got to do with the game?" I asked. I was disturbed by the story, but trying not to show it. I figured that if I wussed out, my sister would never let me come back to another one of her sleepovers. I mean, unless you plan on trying to do something with honey. In which case, gross. Janet snorted. That's not it. Michelle said, "Oh, but it would be fun to do a honey and oat mask after we play the game. Like, to honor him or whatever." "We're going to summon him," said Rhonda. She gave Michelle a sour look, clearly not appreciating her spooky mood being ruined by talk of face masks and relaxing. Because when he died, he vowed to come back whenever his name was called 5 times and kill whoever had done the caller wrong. Janet was quick to add, "But sometimes he kills the person that called him too." Michelle nodded. "It's a toss-up. If you've done too many bad things yourself, then Candyman will come and kill you, instead of the people that you're mad at." "And you're going to do just that," said Rhonda. "Summon him, that is." She grabbed me by the shoulders, hauled me off of where I had been perched on the edge of the bed, and steered me over to the big mirror on her dresser. "Go on. Call his name 5 times. What? I looked at her with wide eyes, but quickly remembered what I had promised myself. I wasn't going to act like a child, and all of them were watching me too. I took a deep breath and turned back to the mirror. My reflection looked scared, but only for a moment. I put on my best, unimpressed expression that I could muster. Candyman! I said it once. Nothing happened. Candyman! I said it twice, and a shadow appeared behind me in the glass. Rhonda said, "Whoa, are you seeing this?" Candyman, I said for the 3rd time, the words coming out in a hushed whisper. The shadow was more defined now. It was a tall man with dark skin and a rusted hook on one hand. A cloud of bees could be seen swarming around him. The bees circled my reflection too. "Tell her to stop it!" shouted Janet. Rhonda reached to shove me, but a bee stung her on her hand. Ow! What the hell? This was just a game. It was a test. They were all watching me. I curled my hands into fists at my side, refusing to be swayed by whatever recording they had running. Candyman. It was the 4th time that I had said his name, and the man was fully visible now. He wasn't just in the reflection, but in the room. Janet screamed. Rhonda shouted, "Stop it! What are you doing, you little brat?" "Brat? I'm not a brat. You told me to do it," I argued. Rhonda shouted back, "So you would get scared and stop bothering us." Anger shot through me. They hadn't wanted me up here after all. They had just been trying to scare me. Was I scared? Yes. But when I looked up at the man that had been summoned into the room, and he looked back at me, I knew that I was safe. "Candyman," I said, the words a harsh curl. As soon as I did, the door to the bedroom snapped shut. Michelle screamed and tried to pull it open, but couldn't get it. Janet tried to break a window, but the glass wouldn't shatter. The Candyman was real, and he did just as the stories claimed. He brought down his wrath on the 3 older girls that had done me wrong, splitting them open on his hook, letting his swarm of bees descend on them until their skin was a swollen, bloodied, blistered mess. When all 3 young women had stopped moving, when they were all dead, the bees swarmed them. There was an impossible amount of insects. They rushed over the bodies, enveloping them in a haze of insects. And then, the bodies just seemed to vanish. The bees vanished too. I was alone in the room with the Candyman now, but I was not afraid. The man reached into his old, filthy, honey-laden trench coat and pulled from it a single piece of foil-wrapped candy. He got down on one knee, and he held the candy out to me. With shaking fingers, I took the treat from him. Even through the foil, I could smell the honey. He stayed kneeling and watched me until I unwrapped the candy. A single bee was trapped within the golden sugar. I put it in my mouth and ate it anyway, making sure to crunch it up good so that the insect was ground into a sugary, honey-tanged paste back between my back molars. Only after I had eaten the candy did the man seem satisfied with his work. He still had my older sister's blood dripping off the end of his hook. With his flesh hand, he reached out, patted me on the head twice, and then vanished with the buzzing hum of bees chasing after him. My sister and her friends were never seen again, and I knew what had happened to them. I kept that secret to myself, But I knew that no matter what happened, all I would need to do to get his help was call his name again. 5 times, and 5 times only. Candyman. 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 Candyman.
Subscribe today or beware.